Good morning and good evening, everyone, and welcome to Rain Girl TV. I'm Kimberly Williams, and I'm honored to have you with us today. In a world where headlines change by the minute and global events shape our daily lives, we're here to bring you the stories that matter the most. From the latest developments in politics and government to major world events, economic shifts, international affairs, and the issues impacting communities across the nation and around the globe, we've got you covered. Tonight, we'll break down the facts, examine the headlines, and explore the stories behind the news with clarity, insight, and perspective. Whether it's decisions being made in Washington, conflicts and diplomacy overseas, or the events shaping our future, Rain Girl TV is your destination for informed discussion and meaningful conversations. I'm Kimberly Williams, and this is Rain Girl TV, where news meets understanding and every story has a voice. Thank you for coming to another episode of The Interview. My name is Kimberly Williams, host of Rain Girl Media TV, The Interview. Today I have a wonderful guest with us, Christina Arguelles. Christina is running for Circuit Court Judge, Group 2.
Yes.
Correct. We're so happy to have you here. I'm really happy that you decided to join me on the interview, where I'm calling it the hot seat, where it's not so hot, but you have some hot chicks here today, some hot women here today. It's going to be having a really lovely discussion. So Christina, tell us a little bit about who you are and what made you decide to run for Circuit Court Judge.
So, I'm a lot of things. I think most women feel that way. We're a lot of things at a lot of times. I'm a mother of two, soon to be three. Me and Miss Kimberly were just talking about that. And that is, the greatest joy in my life. I'm also a practicing lawyer. I've been practicing complex civil litigation for over a decade. And then why I decided to become a judge is when you start having children, you realize you want to leave the world a better place. You want to leave an impact in some positive way. And lawyers can't always do that. And I really think this is one way I can give back to the community and serve the community with my legal experience, but also with my compassionate willingness and openness to listen to all people.
Wow. I mean, I've seen you on a campaign trail, and as I've said before, you are very energetic and you're extremely inspiring. Um, for a woman that's expecting a child, and the way you get out there and you're canvassing and you're just really involved in the community. So I really admire that about you. You spoke of you being a lawyer. Obviously, what areas of practice have you practiced in?
So I started in the judiciary in Tallahassee, where I had the opportunity to write bills, actually know the laws, how they're written, how they're made. And then I also had the chance to work at the state attorney's office, working on some criminal matters. And I've been doing civil litigation. What that means is they're cases involving anything car accidents, business disputes, malpractice when a doctor does or does not, have a mess up. There's all kinds of things. Civil encompasses a lot. But what's interesting about my practice, it's bled over into a lot of areas. So I've dealt with criminal issues recently. I deal with, unfortunately, a lot of immigration issues lately, probate and estate issues, a lot of family law issues. So I've had my hands in all the different areas, and that's important because we don't get to pick our specialty where we sit on the bench. The chief judge, her name's Chief Judge Bunyan, she'll assign us. So we get assigned somewhere, and we don't know where it's going to be. And when we're the newest judges, we're the lowest in the totem pole, so we don't get a lot of say. So she's going to assign us somewhere. So it's important that we have, a broad area of experience.
Mhm. Well, just some information for you during the pandemic. I actually became a paralegal. So I have a degree in paralegal, just to put some information out there. And I'm telling you, just studying to get my paralegal degree was hard work. There's a lot of case law we had to study. There was just so much. I feel like the paralegals do a lot of the work for the lawyer.
A lot, most. I mean, my poor paralegals work their butts off. I mean, not saying I don't work my butt off, but they do a lot of, I am, I've learned a lot from my paralegals. They're very experienced, and they've taught me a lot about a lot of things, and I would be nowhere without the hard work of my staff. They deserve so much of the gratitude from me because, especially with how busy I've been, my paralegals deserve gold medals.
Yeah, yeah. There's so much work that goes into putting a case together. And how are you able to separate your personal beliefs from your responsibility to apply the law?
So no, I think that's a great question because, your personal beliefs define who you are. I mean, I'm a daughter of an immigrant. I'm a Christian. These are things that define who I am. Um, and if I, as a daughter of an immigrant, it made me really respect the law. But you have to, when you come into the courtroom, be able to leave those things out.
Mhm.
You have to be able to leave your personal beliefs out and apply the law fairly and as it's written, because it's not my job to legislate as a judge. But I think some things can still be a part of who I am. Not having an ego, that's just part of who I am. Being hardworking, being persistent with my job. Those are things that are part of my personal beliefs that I
Mhm.
can still bring into the courtroom.
I agree. And those are definitely parts of who you are because I've seen them live in action. So I completely, that's the truth.
Thank you.
What role does the judicial ethics play in daily decision making?
In my personal life or in the courtroom or
And
both?
I would say both, you know?
Well, I think once you become a judge, those judicial ethics need to stay with you all the time. You need to, treating people fairly. That's a basic thing. Let's treat everybody fairly in and out of the courthouse.
Mhm.
Making sure you're listening to all people that come into the courtroom, making sure you're fairly and accurately applying the law. Those are things that are important. But I think once a judge puts on that robe, they need to be encompassing that in and outside the courtroom.
Absolutely. So a lot of people can't afford legal representation. What are some of your thoughts on improving access to justice within the court system?
I think it's very important that a judge is prepared every day because that allows them to have quicker time and more time to listen to the people that are coming before them because they don't always fully understand what's happening when they're not represented by a lawyer. They walk into the courtroom and they have no idea. So it's important a judge is prepared and knows what's coming before them before they start their day.
Mhm.
And then it's important that they're able to explain the process, and that goes back to experience.
Mhm.
They can't give legal advice, of course, but they can give, advise of resources that are available, and then they need to listen to them. And they're not always going to agree with me, of course. No, there's always somebody that's going to come out of the courthouse probably upset. But
Mhm.
if I can evenly apply the law and they're heard, I think that's what's important. And I think, Zoom's making it a little bit easier for people to have access to the court,
Yeah.
but
As long as
making,
they're not coming on Zoom with they're in the shower or some.
oh, or in the car driving. I've had that.
Stop it.
I've had car people driving.
Oh my God.
Um, so I have had that. That always makes me chuckle. I have to tell them to pull over. But I think also making sure the courtroom's still open. If they don't have a computer, they still need to be able to come into the courtroom if they need
Yeah.
to. So they
Mhm.
need both.
They need
And then
both.
we also need to make sure, there's so many different languages in Orange and Osceola County. We need to make sure they have the resources available to them. I think AI is going to help with a lot of this, and we just need to get there.
Well, you know what? You brought up a great point about AI. AI is a little scary also because we don't want it to take our jobs, obviously. But do you believe that AI will take or interfere with?
So AI is already impacting courtrooms in a lot of ways. And that's, pro se people are getting on AI and writing their pleadings. And I think it helps them some ways, but AI is just not there yet. So it's incorrect case law, it's incorrect information a lot of times. The Florida Supreme Court just put out a decision that said you need to verify if you used AI and that it's all accurate. That's
Wow.
great for lawyers,
Okay.
not great for pro se people because they don't know if a case is accurate or not. They're using it as a resource thinking it's accurate. So I do think in the future we are going to come to a place where AI is going to help a pro se person out. I don't know that we're there yet, but it does help with their formatting and making it easier for them to file things, I think.
That's great.
Yeah, I
Well,
do, I think it opens doors to people. I just don't think we're there yet where it's going to. It's not a lawyer.
especially okay, okay. And what do you believe the biggest challenges are that's facing Florida judicial system right now?
There's a serious lack of trust in the judiciary right now.
Mhm.
I think that's countrywide. And it's sad because, our judiciary is supposed to be non-political. It's
Mhm.
supposed to be a place where people can come and be heard and fairly listened to. So I
Mhm.
think it's very important we start rebuilding the trust in our judiciary. And I
Mhm.
think that's one judge at a time, one person at a time can do that by fairly, evenly applying the law without ego. I think the
Mhm.
other problem is we got so many cases.
Yeah,
Our
yeah.
judges are bogged down, they're working their butts off, all of them.
Mhm.
That's why this job is a service to the community. It's a
Absolutely.
lot of work, it's giving back to the community, and we need people that are willing to do that, that want to do this
Mhm.
for the right reasons.
Thank you so much for answering that question. And I'm a mom too. I'm a mom of three, and I
Ooh,
have 26, well, a 28-year-old who's expecting, and I also have two sons who's 26 and 23. Um, and I know you're expecting now. So with you expecting, how have and you've carried yourself very well. How have you been able to remain so calm during this entire campaign period?
I pray every morning for a kind heart. I pray every
Patience,
morning. And some days it works. Most
low
days,
appetite. I know.
I pray every morning. I need courage to do what's right and a kind heart because it's not easy every day. And I will continue to do that when I'm on the bench. The courage to do what's right and
Mhm,
for a kind heart.
mhm. When you hear some of the cases or have how you've dealt with like how do you plan to keep yourself emotionally intact?
That
How
is
do you
one thing, as a pregnant lady, that's one thing I am a little worried about. I was at the backpack giveaway and I got to
Mhm.
give a high school student a laptop and it
Yeah,
was just such a special moment. It was like a fancy MacBook and I started tearing up a little bit. I was like,
yeah,
oh
yeah,
man, I can't be doing that on the bench.
yeah. Well, I mean, when you see children and they're so happy and they're filled with so much grace and thankfulness to receive things like that, you can't help but get emotional, and it's that emotional
It was a
connection.
season blessings event. It was a beautiful event. It was wonderful. Um, I think it's something I'm going to have to work on. I think that it is something I'm going to struggle with, and I struggle with that even now in my cases. I have a lot of seriously injured people that come before me, and I have neurologically not intact children that are my cases that I'm currently working on. So I have built that set of, you
Mhm.
know, a little bit of, I don't know how to explain it, but like a little glass wall, but it still impacts me, but I have to have a little separation. Go ahead.
I completely agree, but it's also important to have someone that's, not so robotic where they actually put up a complete wall.
Of course. No, I totally agree with you. But I think as a judge, as a lawyer, I think I can be a little bit more emotionally invested. And you want your attorney emotionally invested in you. You don't want an attorney
Yeah,
that,
I mean, that's
but as
why
a
you're
judge,
paying them. Like for them to handle it and deal with the everything, the anger, the everything that come with it. That's why I guess a person will obtain a lawyer so they can deal with it. So yeah, I get it.
but as a judge, I think it's something I'm gonna have to work on. And I think it'll be something I have to work on every single day. Just making sure I'm applying the law fairly as it's written. And that's what I'm called to do by the community.
Mhm. So, what message would you like to leave with the first time voters?
Please vote. Please do your research. These elections are so important. Judicial races are so important, and they impact everybody's life, whether that's a parent dying, whether that's your speeding ticket, whether that's you get arrested, you get a DUI. I mean, whatever it is, you're going to come before a judge. So you want to make sure that judge does have the experience that makes them competent, but you want to make sure that judge also has the temperament to sit on the bench and rule fairly for you. You don't want a judge that's not going to be able to do that. So do your research, listen to interviews, look into them. And if you're still confused, go to your community. Ask your community leaders, ask your lawyer friends if you have them, ask your church leaders. They might have a little bit more in touch knowledge about that, and they might be able to help you make those educated decisions.
Mhm. Beautiful. I love that. So if elected, what values will guide every decision you make from the bench?
I really do believe in our Constitution and the rule of law. My dad came to this country with nothing. He left his own father in Cuba because he was fighting communism. They came here because they believed in those things. And that's something that resonates with me.
Mhm.
But I want to go in every day with a compassionate heart and a willingness to serve this community.
That's beautiful. I love that. I really would like to thank you for coming on this morning and taking time to speak with the interview and be a part of the show. You've really impressed me and inspired so many women out there to, you know, campaign for themselves, no matter if you're pregnant, no matter what circumstance. And you've been so thoughtful during this interview. Can you tell my viewers where they can find you at?
So you could Google, look at my shirt. It's a hard name to spell. So you could go to Christina Arguelles, Arguelles. Just Google, it'll come up to my campaign site. I have a Facebook site. You could Google the same thing. And I have an Instagram. My Instagram needs a little help. It's not the best, but my Facebook page is pretty good. So
Yes, and again, you don't wear the robe right now, but what I've seen is that you plan to wear that robe with fairness, integrity, and public trust, because that's what you've given me. Is you've given me public trust, and I can see who you will be giving you if you were elected. And I'm hoping that people get out there and vote for you.
thank you so much. And early voting starts Monday, so we need to get out there and vote for all the people because we got it. All the
Absolutely.
selections are important.
Absolutely, absolutely. So thank you again for coming to the interview and have a great day.
Thank you so much. You have a great day too.